What's going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here. Sheet should be with us any minute. Hope you're all having a good Thursday morning. A lot of golf going on right now. Very, very lame day as far as baseball goes for the MLB. But we have a little slate in the morning that we're going to talk through. And not really sure what we're doing this evening personally. I think that I might I'll tap in and talk about the NBA and maybe the three-gamer while I do so. But it looks like Sheets is popping in, so we can start going through the slate. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Yesterday's early slate was one of the weirdest freaking slates I've ever been a part of. I actually had a chance to win like most everything with like
oh my god,
a combination of like Shane Bieber and like Justin Steele. Like I had like 0 pitching points, I think, between my two pitchers. But I ended up with like all this Cleveland, including like Josh Naylor and like all this other stuff. And then it faded eventually because like of weird stuff like Keller just getting the win and Schuster with the 5 points of actual fantasy points getting the win, that 4 extra points to him to 9. Like that's those two things ended up costing me. It was really messed up. Like, wait, listen, I mentioned the pitching was kind of fishy. The whole pitching slate was just awful. What happened in the main? Did you play last night? What was the results last night?
I had Toronto everywhere, so I didn't even bother really looking at anything.
Oh, they didn't do anything last night?
No, not enough. And it was just one of those frustrating situations. You know, walk, double, guy, second and third, nobody out, can't score a run with your best 3 hitters coming up. Just one of those things. But you know, it's been I had a really good last Monday where I came in 4th in the big one. But I've had a pretty steady losses. Other than that, like it's been kind of ugly. And that's the nature of baseball. But I like playing high variance styles too. But like it's a little frustrating when it doesn't go well. So hopefully we can straighten it out today.
Well, but what we're really going to straighten out is how are you going to win the big cheese tonight in the NBA?
That's the real thing. That's the thing we should figure out a little later. I wanted to figure out a little later, but if you don't have time, we can do a little recording.
Yeah, no. What we can do is you want to do it after this? We can do that too.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I got to do MMA at some point, but yeah, I just like just the variance associated with Sheets World right now is at max level. So I got to get in whatever I can.
Yeah.
So because you never know, I'm like, oh, dude, I gotta go see in 9 days. It's always very possible. So we'll just see what happens. Actually, I set up a reunion barbecue for like all my basketball teams.
Oh, awesome.
That I had. Yeah, I haven't seen them in like 3 years. Like they all graduated, and then COVID happened, whatever it is. So I have like this big barbecue schedule for next week, which is up in the air. Everything's up in the air, but that's life. But anyway, speaking of up in the air. Let's look at the baseball slate. We got a 4 game.
I will throw out that my guy is currently leading the tournament at 0.5% owned. So
who's that?
I only have 15% of them, so I'm a little disappointed. Ooh. It's the Matt Wallace.
Oh, how about that?
But I mean, not saying anything, but I'll just at least feeling good about it making the cut.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. And John and Scotty Scheffler is going to have to at some point get it going, which of course he will, I'm sure. But all right. So let's talk each game through because I think that we know the name of the game on these slates is to try to get different. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, let me tell you this: out of 8, it's 4 games. You got like 6. I mean, you got some pitchers. You know what I mean? Like this is I'm finally. I think I'm going to be in on what you always say. This is a slate where there is no need to stack. I think.
Yeah,
I agree. This slate, you might get, well, with the exception of the Colorado game, whatever, you might get a total of 30 runs. You know what I mean? Like it could be one of those days. But I guess let's take a look at it. Let's start. I mean, I can make history with every pitcher. So let's start with this. Who do you like more, Gausman or Peralta?
Gausman.
Okay. Even with the price.
Yeah, I don't really care about price in general with pitching that much.
Okay. All right, there it is. Okay.
No, you know what I mean? Like on these kind of slates, like I'll just take the guys who I think have the best chance. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue results-wise. I mean, actually, the other side might be more appealing. Peralta he has not been good for the most part, especially over his last 3 starts. But in general this season, he hasn't been the same. and he's giving up a lot of home runs. He's walking people, which he never used to do. So I think that like the way that I'm looking at this game is Gaussman is my pitcher, and then I'd like to try to find a way to maybe a Varsho Guerrero, one of the Guerrero, Varsho, Bichette, Chapman, maybe two of them against Peralta. That's most of my interest level in this game. I would like to get exposure to some of the Blue Jays' power against Peralta because of his recent power trend, but again, he's a good pitcher, but like this is a really tough matchup in general. It didn't seem to bother them last night, but the Blue Jays have power, so I would like to get one or two Blue Jays probably in my lineups. As we talked about, the no need to necessarily fully stack today.
So here's my view. Again, all I've done for this slate so far, I did the projections. I ran like one build which I thought I would want, and then I'm going to run all my stuff like kind of live here.
Yeah.
So here's my speech on Freddie Peralta, and what I'd love to be able to do, like once we get like an editor or somebody that really wants to be enterprising, you'll pull up like past clips where we talked about like guys and stuff like that. And you know what we should probably be, and we could probably integrate like Evan's like YouTube search tool for our own stuff to kind of figure that out. Because I wanted to even go back to like the last time Peralta pitched. I would say the way the conversation went was said, you know what, I'm going to play Peralta, but every time I play him, he's terrible. And you're like, and I said he's very, very volatile. He's very, very consistent. I'm like, he's not consistent when I play him. When I play him, he sucks, right? And then you know what I did? I played him anyway, okay? Yeah. And so I am going to suggest that maybe.
But see, the way I look at it, I don't even look at it as bad play. Like it doesn't mean anything to me that he had.
Right? No. But the fact even now that you're saying that he's got a bad trend, maybe we could just ignore it and just go play him. I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know. I don't know.
He'll be low owned. I think he'll be low owned. But
yeah, I mean he's low owned on a 4-game slate, and he could outscore Gaussman.
He could outscore everybody. He definitely has that.
He could outscore everybody. But that's the thing about, I think there's 6 pitchers who could outscore everybody.
Right.
So I'm very curious to see what I do, because I'll run this live. I'm very curious to see what I get when I run Saberson. Look, I have Gaussman as the top pitcher. Okay. Yeah. Barely, but I have him as the top pitcher. And I do have Peralta all the way down, the list, honestly. But 10% ownership with the guy that can strike a bunch of guys out from, and he's gets to face the righties for whatever that's worth. Probably not too much. But listen, I'm gonna throw him in my mix, and I want to see what I get. I might end up playing him because, as you're saying, I mean, how are you going to get different? I mean, what are you going to play? Aside from Arizona and Colorado, like what hitters are going to look good? And maybe you're right. Maybe we should just go play Toronto.
Well, I'm not saying to play all of Toronto necessarily, and again, it's just a numbers thing, like too, like it's not like you're going to get like super low ownership. The way that you're going to get different is probably by differentiating your build, because I do think Toronto will have they'll be very low owned considering the size of the slate, but they're still going to be like double digit owned, I think, in almost all spots.
So what do you think of this next game? So Phillies Mets. I think that they priced Walker in a kind of a cool way, because first thing I looked at is okay, like this is a guy we could probably go after. Maybe we could play the Mets. They did make him 6,500. I'm not gonna do it, but again, like 8 games or whatever, 8 pitchers to choose from. But I have Scherzer as right along with Gaussman as the best play. I think that Scherzer. I don't care who he's pitching against. I think at 8,700, it's kind of an insult. And I have him right up there with Gaussman. So I know what you're going to say. Just play them both, figure it out, right? But we'll get to the rest of the slate, I suppose. But yeah, I have Scherzer right up there alongside of Gaussman, and I guess the Mets are in play, right? There are very few to choose from. Either Mets, Colorado, Arizona, if you are going to stack, right? If you're going to take a couple of shots. But so I would say Mets and Scherzer.
Yeah, I actually kind of thought the Mets would be a little more popular than the numbers have right now. Okay. So I've got my notes on this are Scherzer as the number 1 pitcher. Number 2 to Gaussman, but like the pricing is that It's a little it's a 2K gap, and I think that enough of the time they're like either within a couple points of each other. Obviously, it's a better matchup for Gaussman than it is for Scherzer, but I still think, I mean, it's not like Philly has been. They haven't been as good offensively as they're supposed to be this year. Let's put it that way. Ray Turner has been terrible. I'm in on the idea with the Mets. I have 2 or 3 of them as sort of being the way to go as a, you know, sort of a stable build, but you're going to have some pretty chalky spots. Obviously, the bats you want the most would be Alonso, Lindor. But you could make the other, you know, you could go the cheap route with Vogelbach and Beatty or something like that. There's a few options. I think Vogelbach ends up low owned here, and I think you could take a shot there. Probably worth noting that, you know, very recently Taijuan Walker was a Met, and I like to take hitters against their former pitchers. Every now and then I like to pitcher against that former hitter. I'm not that interested in Taijuan Walker. If you're not playing Scherzer for any reason, I would almost force in somebody from Philly. And it would probably be Harper or Schwarber because I would be looking for a home run against Scherzer. That's what I would say.
Okay, San Diego, Miami. I'm not of the belief that Musgrove's going to be 30% owned. I'm of the belief it's going to be more like 60. Although,
how though? Like
that was my problem, right? So he looks like a great play, but Scherzer and Gaussman look like such great plays, right? So I do think that Musgrove is very, very strong at 7,300. He was doing very, very well his last start, by the way. They took him out. He had the trouble in the last inning before they took him out, as I recall. But I mean, in a 4-game slate where, you know, looking for anything, I think he's really solid. I actually watched Luzardo pitch actually in his last start. I like him. San Diego is definitely not an easy matchup though. At 9,100. I mean, forgive me, but I'm going to just find a way to play Scherzer for 400 less. I think it's just going to be the way it is. Play San Diego as a team to go after, probably play the righties over there. I don't know. I definitely like Musgrove. I definitely don't want to play Miami, and that's where I am.
Yeah, I think both pitchers are fine here. I actually think that like they're both like, obviously, you know, Luzardo's a better pitcher, but the matchup's tougher. Luzardo's a good pitcher. Like I just want to say, like he's really good. Like
he works fast too, by the way.
Yeah, and I think it's actually in some ways the pitch clock may end up winding up helping him because he would get in trouble with control and stuff. And I think with that constant movement, it's a little easier for him to get in the groove. I don't think people are going to be played from this game on the Miami side at all. And I think that's probably one way you can look at getting different. The problem is like, who do we really want to play? I will throw my hat in the ring for either Jesus Sanchez or Brian De La Cruz. So one Miami, probably Sanchez or De La Cruz for me is sort of like my, you know, again, I'm looking at things to do that are different on this slate because I don't like the stacks particularly. We'll get into the next game in a minute. And I think that, you know, if I had to, like, I'm certainly not going to argue with Tatis or any of these guys. It's a lefty. So you're not going to have any ownership on Soto. And I think that's kind of interesting. Like the other guys are going to be really like Tatis at 6,100 is going to be, you know, what, 15-20%, and Soto at 5,800 is going to be like 4%. I think that it's worth it to maybe play a Soto as a one-off here, just to get different. And also Gary Sanchez, just looking for a little power upsides here. So I would say those would be my 2 favorites, and it's partially due to ownership.
I'll tell you, this is going to be this is the perfect Bobby slate. I mean, this is going to be like the 3-3-2.
I'm only playing like 2 lineups though.
You should play more. I mean,
there's no tournaments. They all suck that are left.
Okay. I should give you my freaking entry in the 555 and play it. I mean, like it's like the ultimate Bobby slate. It's like a 2-2-2-3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like genius freaking Bobby slate.
I probably should have just done that and not stacked anybody. But watch, somebody will go out and score 15 runs or something.
And this is what people are going to do, like in this last game. I mean, they're just going to plow into this one. Both sides, I imagine. more so Arizona, but why not the other side? I don't know. I guess what's sort of interesting about this is that it is 2 hours after these other games. So maybe you don't get a lineup for a while. Maybe that could keep ownership down a little bit. But I probably not.
It's just people are going to side with it, but yeah, but I also think that by the time, they'll probably have their lineups in, I guess.
And you can always swap to the other guy in the same team. You know what I mean? Like it's when you commit to get to that game stack. I mean, you can make it work. You know, you play Scherzer and Gausman, and you can play everybody from this game. Honestly, and like you said, how are you going to get different by doing something other than that? So that would be my my analysis. If they both look really both hitting sides look pretty good, and it's a question of what kind of ownership. Now it's funny. I don't really see a lot of ownership coming to Colorado. If anything, actually that's not true. They're getting some, but Arizona is obviously the best play, and the ownership is amazingly high. Is Colorado is Zach Davies like really good? I mean, why is Colorado so terrible? Just because they're bad?
I don't know what you mean. They're the third highest owned team on the slate. Like
Colorado.
Yeah,
I don't see that. It's so funny. I'm looking.
What do you have? I have it's Arizona, New York, and then Colorado.
Oh, I have Arizona, New York, and Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine. They're not low owned. Yeah, I mean, it's they're Chris Bryant won't be especially popular. Ryan McMahon would probably be the guy that you most want, but he's going to be the more popular one. Obviously, I'm not playing either of these pitchers, and I just can't. I mean, I guess it's a small slate where you could consider doing something weird like that, but I'm not doing it. I do have, so I have the two Colorado bats, the Chris Bryant and the Ryan McMahon. It's probably my favorites when you factor everything in, just ownership and all. But like Nolan Jones, who's going to be playing first base for them, could be batting like third or fourth. Like he doesn't need to be batting eighth. Brenton Doyle doesn't need to be batting seventh. So it might switch around a little bit, some of these projections. If you see those guys are batting earlier, you're definitely going to see, I think, a lot more people play them than they're being projected for right now. And the natural thing would be to try to avoid Arizona. If I had to pick my favorite bats here, it's going to be hard because there's none that are low owned. So I'll just take the best bats, which would be Carroll and probably Christian Walker. Maybe you could argue Pavin Smith for the price. So I would say those are the two favorite bats. But again, I don't really want to eat 30% chalk on the hitting on these slates.
All right. So just for fun, I'm going to run a Sabres sim build. I'm going to do 50 lineups. I'm just to see what I would guess. I haven't done this at all. I'm guessing. I'm guessing they're just going to jam Gausman and Scherzer. Can you make it work? I mean, can you play Gausman and Scherzer with the Arizonas or no?
So easily,
that's probably what they're going to do.
You always can do it. That's the thing. It's just a matter of what you're willing to,
give up. Now, I'm also curious to see if I set it to 150 max. What kind of stack distribution are there? Like how many, let's build 150 just for the hell of it. How many of the 150 lineups, 4-game slate are going to be 5-man stacks? I am going to say only 50, which is very low for Sabres.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to suggest. So first of all, as far as exposure goes, Lusardo would be the highest owned pitcher, followed by Musgrove, and then Gausman, Peralta. Wow, it's feeling very spicy. Apparently, let's take a look at the team stacks. Philly, highest owned, 60% Philly.
How many of those are what size stacks?
Yeah, we're gonna get there in a second. Philly, then Milwaukee, then Mets, then Toronto, and of that, first let's look at stack types. Okay, so 38% are 5-2s, 25% are 5-3s. So it looks as though about 63% are 5-man stacks and a bunch of whatever. And let's take a look and see team stacks. 5-man stacks, yeah, they're inventing 30% of total exposures are 5-man stacks versus Scherzer's. They are braver than I am. How about that? The algorithm is definitely braver than I am.
Yeah, well, I do think that there is some viability to the not. I'm not going to stack the whole Philly team,
Right.
but I do think that taking like some bats against Scherzer, and Eric's asking if the Harper BVP 6 for 20 is not a real BVP that's so crazy. I do think Bryce Harper is the type of hitter that absolutely will hit home runs off of Scherzer in general. He's also going to strike out a lot. He's struck out 9 out of 20 times. But I am totally fine with Bryce Harper. As I mentioned earlier, Bryce Harper, and to answer the other question in there about, I did not have any interest in Milwaukee. I get the logic and the cheap pricing, but I don't particularly want to do that. I do like the idea of getting a couple bats, specifically Schwarber and Schwarber or because they're both going to be hard to get in. Bryce Harper, I think, are really interesting against Scherzer, and I think you could even play one of them against Scherzer and not in the same lineup. But there is other good pitching options, so you don't necessarily need to do that today. David's asking how you get off 5-man stacks and Saber Sim sheets. You know how to do that. We just
so this is what you do. You start off with your regular build, what you have, and then you go into stack types. And then you see you have 34%. What you could just do is you could do max exposure of each combination. So let's say I want a max exposure of, say, 20% 5-2s. Right, we got to do this thing. And then we apply. Then we'll also do max 20% exposure of, let's say, 5-3s. And you just kind of keep doing that. And then max of this. So this is how you reduce it. You just keep on just kind of doing it that way.
But you can set it though, team stacks. You could ask for the 4.
You could do that as well, but I find it better to do it this way because what this does is it kind of like lets you know like how brutal it is if you X them out. Like it's starting with like a 600 lineups or something like that to choose from, and if it really doesn't like having no 5-man stacks, it'll like warn you. Where if you start off by saying I don't want any 5-man stacks, you might end up building like a whole bunch of terrible lineups without knowing it. So I do like to do it this way, back into it. That's just the way I like to use it.
That makes some sense. Yeah, I can understand.
I will say that I like I do like the Musgrove Peralta combination. I do like that for what it's worth. And Milwaukee, Philly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could certainly get difference by playing all the Milwaukee and the Philly. I mean, since you asked, maybe I'll do that. Because I got nothing else to do this afternoon. May as well just try to go against Scherzer and Gausman. Right?
There's no reason. I mean, this is the kind of slate you can do it.
Yeah, I guess so. Luzardo 9,100. You could actually do that, huh?
Well, I don't see what's the big issue. Like, as I mentioned the other day, San Diego scored less runs than the A's this season, and we take every pitcher against the A's. Now, some of that's for strikeouts, but
right.
San Diego is more of a let me just take a quick look and see what the things are right now. Select the split versus lefties. No, that's not right. Versus left, and we'll see their strikeouts and their. I'm going to take a quick look here. They're 7th in the league in strikeouts against left-handed pitching. And they are 21st in on-base percentage. And where are they in OPS? Probably a little higher. Yeah, 16th in OPS. So they've been a below average team against lefties and they strike out a hefty amount. So that's San Diego. And that's including when they had Machado and their whole team available, which they don't. So I actually I might be doing the thing that I never do, which is I play Scherzer all the time, probably more than anybody in the industry. And I might be talking myself out of him because I do think that there's definitely a path to some home runs against him. I still think I like him. I'm probably going to end up sticking with it. It's just ridiculous to have him at 8,700, but I certainly could see switching over to Luzardo. But I think I'm going to do that Soto thing if I can, because I'm not going to be able to play Luzardo. I'm not going to be able to play the Phillies because they're too expensive to play against your own pitcher. I feel like if they were cheaper, I could do it. But I think that I'm going to go with Gausman, Scherzer, and then I've got probably going to go with a couple of Jays, 1 or 2. Probably going to have 2 Mets, 2 from Colorado and 2 from Arizona, something like that as of right now.
I think this is where I want to start with these 3 guys. I think I want to start Musgrove, Peralta, and Carroll. I think that's where I want to start.
Musgrove, Peralta, Carroll. Yeah, I've got Carroll. Yeah, I like that. I mean, that certainly makes some sense.
But then as well, then there's only like 7.4 million combinations I could start with this. Well, it would be nice. It would be nice. I guess it would be nice.
There's no Max is a trap thing. This is absolutely ridiculous.
What is?
Yeah, Max is a trap. You think that the guys at DraftKings have any idea what they're doing in terms of
No.
That's just crazy.
And they're not. And they don't want you to necessarily loot. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it doesn't make any difference to them whether he does well or not. They're not trying to trap. There's no such thing as Max being a trap. That's like just absolutely ridiculous. Yes, you can play Harper and Max in the same lineup, I believe, but you are allocating a lot of costs to try and go against yourself. That's the only thing that's a little worrisome. I'd rather it be a situation where you're playing somebody cheaper, but I am not going to do that. I would rather just play at the same low ownership, the Juan Soto play or something like that.
I'm going to tell you this. I mean, like, with the exception of like Yelich or whatever, there's like very few freaking righties in this. I mean, lefties in this lineup for Milwaukee. I mean, Gausman has a nice freaking. He could have a really good day today.
Yeah,
he could really have a good day today.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Weimer hitting even 9. Tyrone Taylor.
It's a pretty nasty looking lineup.
This is awful. I mean,
Owen Miller didn't play against righties until just recently,
and he's hitting second.
Yeah, I know. Brian Anderson is a platoon type of player for the major leagues. Then you've got all the rookie and young.
Oh, this is a horror show.
Except for that Joey Weimer, it seems to.
Yeah, he's hitting like 9th.
I know they always bat him 9th, and he's got power. Right? He's going to be. I think he's actually a hitter. I just think that they're.
What's Contreras? He's righty. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. I mean, Saberson can play Milwaukee if they want.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out too, exactly how I'm going to end up with my stacks, but
the Mets are solid. I think the Mets are a good play.
Yeah. But just remember, the pricing is never trying to fool you. Like, that's not happening.
Right. No, dude, they want more people to play.
Right. There's nobody trying to get cute. And if you guys look at Sheets' thing for the multi-entry thing, I think that's really the right thing to do in baseball is to in general just be very flexible about leaving money on the table. Yeah. When you're playing the large field stuff and you're scripting. When you're playing the small field and you're hand building, it's a little harder sometimes, but I still think it's right. It's never like wrong to leave like 1,500 on the table in baseball. You don't need to on big slates, but it's certainly not a big wrong thing. Can you play Vogel? Like, is it possible to play?
How about the lineup like this? The Philly Mets game stack with the Gausman Zach Davies combination, leaving 1,300 on the table. That's one to tell the grandchildren about.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. But don't laugh, man. Baseball is funny, man.
Yeah, it sure is, man. You're preaching to the choir here. I totally hear you. It's a weird game. See, that's what you'd have to do. Like, I really want to get some Toronto in. It's just having a little trouble doing it. That's a shame. Yeah, I think that I'm going to be looking more like 2 Mets, 2 Colorado, 2 Arizona, 2 San Diego. That looks like what I'm going to end up with, something like that.
This is awesome.
I think that it would be more ideal to go 3-2, but I don't care. I'm just happy to spread it out. And
hang on. That's what this is. Hello.
All right. So looks like Sheets has got something going. All
right, I gotta go.
Okay, I gotta run.
Wait, I want to do basketball. Can we go like 1 o'clock for basketball, maybe?
Yeah, that works. Great.
All right, sounds good.
All right, bud.